Hey, it's Chris, and today I've got a really fun video for you guys. It's the dual review of Sphero's new R2-D2 and BB-9E droids, and it's gonna be pretty in-depth. Now, if you aren't yet a subscriber and you haven't already seen the dual unboxing that I did of these guys, then go check that out either before or after this video. I'll have that link down in the description. And hey, while you're at it, if you're a Sphero fan, make sure to check out the popular Lightning McQueen video that I did not too long ago. That'll be linked up in the description as well. So on with the show, and I'm gonna start things off by talking about R2-D2 and then moving on to BB-9E for the simple fact that this R2-D2 is my favorite of the two. And by the way, if you're looking to buy either of these, I've got those linked up right down in the description as well. The first thing that I wanna talk about with R2-D2 is authenticity. So in terms of visual features, this looks really great, and I looked really close to see if I could find anything that was missing from actual movie stills, and it looks like everything's there. Now, maybe it's not quite as detailed as you would see in an extreme close-up, but basically every little line and zigzag and light is all where it should be. So in the movies, you probably noticed that R2-D2 looks a little bit dirty or weathered because he's been out in the action and because George Lucas set out to create a kind of a used universe feel. So this is a little bit different. The Sphero R2-D2 is shiny white and squeaky clean, like brand new. There's nothing wrong with that. It looks really great. Now, as far as what lights up, there's two circle lights, one on the front and one on the back, and then two mock panel areas that light up as well. One is blue, and that's on the front, and then another one on the back is green and red. So R2-D2 has three legs, I guess you could call them, and the Sphero model is no different. But depending on what you're having R2 do, he'll either be using only two, or the other one can pop out or retract as needed, which is really awesome. Now, if R2 is on, but he's just sitting there and you're not really doing anything with him, then he'll kind of occasionally beep or boop or waddle in place, and it's kind of entertaining actually just to let him sit there and kind of create some Star Wars atmosphere in your place. Everything about this R2-D2 is controlled using an app, so there's no gesture or voice controls whatsoever. When you launch that app, it automatically scans for any Sphero droids that you own and then gives you the option to pick which one you want to control. The default control screen is split in half, and on the left, you can use your finger to drag around to move the droid, and on the right, there's some emotions and behavior buttons. The drag to move interface actually works really well with R2, and I think I'm having a little more fun. It's a little easier to use with the R2 than it was with the Lightning McQueen, as you can see in that video, which I mentioned a while back. And the buttons are just super fun. There's several different beep boop patterns that you can choose from, and here's one. Here's another. And then there's one for when he's saying no, when he's agreeing, or whatever this is. There's also, of course, the signature R2 scream. Or you can just have him spin around in circles. But I think the funniest thing that he can do is just get frustrated or shot or zapped, I don't know what, and just kind of fall over. The last thing to mention about controls is that there's a slider that lets you control his head movement, and then there's also a couple of buttons underneath that will spin him around or give him a speed boost. So those are the basic controls, and I really have no complaints to mention. Now, aside from just straight up controlling R2, there are some other modes in the app which will get you some extra mileage out of your purchase. There's a patrol mode where R2 will kind of wander around and give you some feedback as to the temperature and the distance he's traveled and some other stuff. Honestly, I kind of find that one a little bit pointless, but it's basically for letting him move around on his own without you having to control him. There's also a draw and drive mode, which lets you draw around on the screen and make a path that R2 can follow, and it works pretty well, although it works the best in a wide open area that's free of clutter where he's not gonna really run into anything. One mode that I really wanted to like, but actually didn't end up getting too much enjoyment out of, was the AR or augmented reality mode. Basically, you can hold your phone up using the app like a window to look around inside three different ships, the Millennium Falcon and two others, from the droid's point of view. And it's kind of cool for about 10 to 20 seconds, but really most of the time it's just kind of cumbersome. Finally, there's also a watch with me mode, which if you set the droids up to watch a Star Wars movie with you, they will react and respond and actually give up little factoids on the screen during the movie at the appropriate times. And sure enough, I tried this out with Rogue One, and it actually works. When Krennic comes on or the stormtroopers come on, then R2 kind of makes different noises like he's scared or worried or something. So yeah, it's actually pretty cool. Today, at the time of this filming, it only works with 3 movies though: Rogue One, A New Hope, and The Force Awakens, but the rest of the movies all say coming soon, so hopefully that's actually true. One thing to keep in mind with the movie mode is that you've got to keep the droids and your phone plugged in the whole time so that they don't run out of power. The app does have some settings available too, which will let you change drive speed and audio volume, and you can also put the droid to sleep manually, although every time you exit the app, R2 goes to sleep all by himself. Now, R2 does have an internal speaker, which is cool because it doesn't just rely on the app in your phone to make sounds. If you're wondering how loud that speaker gets, it's not quite as loud as Lightning McQueen's, which I'd call pretty loud. This is more like a medium loud, and it's not soft, but I do wish it could be just a little bit louder. In the last Sphero video I did, which was Lightning McQueen, I mentioned that I had a little bit of trouble with range and getting the full range that was printed on the box. That hasn't been the case with R2. I think R2 has been working perfectly for me for up to that extended range. Now, the last thing that I really want to mention with R2 is just quality. For $180, you really are expecting something that's top of the line, top quality. And for the most part, I think that's true. It feels relatively solid, but at the end of the day, it is made out of just plastic. The test unit that I got has one minor paint defect on his silver dome, and then there's one area where the paint job was a little bit sloppy, and it's just in the front light panel, and I don't think you'd ever really notice it unless you were looking up close. But of course, my job is to look up close to tell you guys about it. Really, it's not a big deal at all. So, is R2-D2 a buy? Well, I would say if you have 180 bucks to spare, then definitely, yeah. I love it, and so does my kid. The core features are super fun and entertaining, but the extras, I could really take or leave. Again, if you want to pick them up, the link is down in the description. Okay, so that's it for R2 right now, so let's move on to BB-9E, which in many ways is very similar, but there are some other differences aside from just how they look. I just mentioned that R2 has an internal speaker, while BB-9E doesn't. So any noises that are coming from the droid are actually coming from your phone. R2-D2 comes with a gold USB charging cable, but BB-9E comes with a charging dock so he can wirelessly charge in place without rolling all over the place. Also, BB-9E's control center functions exactly the same as R2-D2's, but there are a few less controls and it looks red, so it's a little bit more sinister. BB-9E has 4 lights, 1 red light on his head, 2 blue lights next to that, and then a blue light in his body that's not visible most of the time. And actually, that's only used to help you line him up for steering. Somebody made a comment on the unboxing video asking if he was translucent, and the answer is basically no. He is barely, just because of that calibration light, but again, you don't see that most of the time, and when it's off, then you can't tell that he's translucent in any way. Just like R2-D2, BB-9E has 9 different emotes. He can agree or disagree, be frustrated, or move around in various combinations. Unlike R2-D2, you can't independently control BB-9E's head. When it comes to the controls, I feel like BB-9E is a little bit more chaotic and a little bit harder to control than R2-D2. If you have BB-8, then you understand that BB-9E's controls aren't really crisp and precise. He takes a little bit longer to turn or start or stop. That said, the round droids do seem to have an easier time navigating different types of surfaces or transitioning from carpet to a hard surface or vice versa. BB-9E's quality is very solid, the paint looks good, the charging and AR stands are both really nice, but you have to be careful with the head because I have had it pop off a couple of times. The other modes like the AR and watching movies, they all work exactly the same with BB-9E as they did with R2, so I'm not gonna rehash those here. Now, if you're trying to decide which one of these you wanna buy, then I would say go with R2-D2 because honestly, I've just had more fun with him. All right, that's gonna wrap up this video. Thank you for watching. Don't forget you can buy these using the links down in the description. And hey, become a subscriber if you like Sphero products because I review them every chance that I get. And don't forget to follow @DailyTech, spelled Daily Tekk, on Instagram, Twitter, and Snapchat. Later.